uniform module. Can't imagine.
5 EVA. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what's going on? This is Artemis 2. They're going to do kind of like an Apollo 8, although some differences, some major differences. It's a 10-day flight, and we've got Commander Raid Weissman. He pronounces his name Raid. Raid Weissman, right, is the mission commander. Pilot Victor Glover. Christina Cook, name's pronounced Cook, experienced NASA astronaut. And Jeremy Henson. He pronounces it Henson, so that was very kind of important for me to get right. This is what they're going to do. They're going to go into Earth orbit for about a day, 25 hours. They're going to get into Earth orbit 25 hours until they go for the TLI, Translunar Injection Maneuver. They're going to fire the main engine, and they're going to head to the moon. It's going to take them 4 days to get to the moon. And this is one of the big differences between Artemis 2 and Apollo 8. Apollo 8 was a 6-day mission, 6 days. Artemis 2 is 10 days. Big difference in time. They're not going to stop at the moon. They're not going to get into lunar orbit, none of that stuff. So you're thinking, what's the big difference in the time? I was very curious, and there really was no article specifically about that, so I kind of had to piece it together through a bunch of data. Number one is that Artemis 2, they're going to stay in orbit for 25 hours. So that's one full day where they're just going to be orbiting Earth before they go for the TLI. Also, distance. The moon is further away now than it was for Apollo 8. Apollo 8, the distance from the Earth to the moon was 233,000 miles. That's 376,000 kilometers for Apollo 8. Right now, the moon is further away because the moon is kind of a cockeyed, it's an oval orbit, but it has a perigee and an apogee. So right now, the moon is at a distance of 242,300 miles further away. That's 398,800 kilometers. So we have further to the moon. And also, Artemis 2 is going to go further because when Apollo 8 reached the moon, they had a lunar apogee of roughly 100 nautical miles, right? 100 nautical miles. And Artemis 2, they're going for a very long way around the moon. They're going to have a lunar apogee of 1,200 nautical miles. That's over 1,400 standard miles. At 1,200 nautical miles, they're going to be at a much higher altitude. They're going to take a longer arc around the back of the moon. So all these things factor in to the mission duration, the differences in the mission duration. But yeah, so differences between the two missions for time. It says that when Artemis 2 get around the moon, they're going to have about 3 hours of the closest pass. But here's the thing about it. We're at a full moon today. It's April 1st. We're at full moon today, right? So when Artemis gets there in 4 days, the moon is going to be waning slightly. But basically, when they go around the backside, it's really going to be dark. They're not going to be able to see the far side of the moon because we're at full moon right now. But they're going to be at a very high altitude. So the idea is that they're going to be far enough away that they're going to be able to see around, and to be able to see parts of the moon and the poles and stuff that couldn't see on any of the Apollo missions because they were just too close to the moon. Some interesting factoids about Artemis. Unlike Apollo, they've actually got a toilet. Not just a toilet, but actually a restroom. And it is actually a private little booth in the spacecraft with an actual toilet. So that was the one thing about Apollo that all the astronauts complained about, was that going to the bathroom was just, it was just basically a sticky bag. They described it as like a top hat shaped bag with a sticky O-ring seal and sort of like a glove built into it, if you can imagine. And they kind of just stuck it there, and then you'd go, and then you'd just kind of hope that you grabbed it all, and then you'd have to take it off, and then, but you had to do that without any like containment. So you're basically, you know, 3 humans in a little container about the size of, 2 phone booths, as it was described in the day. Not that anyone would know what the size of a phone booth is nowadays, but I actually got into the command module simulator, and it's small. I mean, it's claustrophobically small. When you look at the films with the wide-angle lenses that they use on the cameras, it kind of looks a little spacious, but it's not. It's like the whole thing is basically like the size of a small compact car, if you could imagine. Like 3 people in a small compact car for a week and a half.
That's where I work. In the lab. Go berserk. In my lab. That's where I work.